And we are recording. Yes? Okay. Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Queen Osset here. And today I have something special for you. You guys know what I do. I always like to bring the goodies and some goodness. And what I have here is a deck creator and her muse, two good friends who share love and inspiration between the two of them to create something of beauty. Um, so when I first saw this deck, it was posted on a Facebook group called For Love of Cards. And all I saw was the images, and I went over to Etsy and purchased the deck. And when I looked at the creator of the deck, I was curious because I was not expecting the creator to look the way I believe the creator of this particular type of art or the reflection of the art should look. And so I asked her point blank what was her inspiration, and she told me her best friend. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Sophie and Onye. Did I say it right?
Oh yeah.
Onye. Okay, I'm going to get this right. And Sophie is the creator of give me the name of the deck, Sophie.
The Onyi Tarot.
The Onyi Tarot. And this is a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. So, Sophie and Onye, could you tell me a little bit about your relationship, your friendship?
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll say something that we were actually just talking about last night, and we were just reflecting on our friendship. And I said that one thing I really love is that since we were young, since we were 14, we've always played this question game where we ask each other all these questions and we'll look them up if we can't think of any. And we just always wanted to know more about the other, always wanted to know what the other was thinking, what her favorite movie was, or her favorite book, or anything. And that's never gone away. We still do that when we're bored, when we're not, when we're in person together over FaceTime. And it may sound like a simple thing, but I just think that that is the mark of just a really true relationship, just that give and take and that just genuine want to always know what is going on with the other person and hear what, just the exchange of ideas and everything. So that is what I'll say about a relationship.
And you, Onye?
I would say that our relationship is definitely a one in a lifetime sort of thing, and I feel like everyone. Why are you laughing?
No, because I'm trying not to cry.
I definitely feel like anyone that meets us can tell it's just a very special dynamic that I have no idea where it came out of, but it wasn't an instant bond. Definitely, it took us probably 2 years of just knowing each other to realize that this was a partnership that we were probably going to have for life. So, I don't know. I'll say about
Okay.
that.
Nice. Nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about let me say the word, let me say your name. Why am I having such difficulty with your name?
A lot of people do.
Really? I shouldn't. I want to pronounce it like how it looks, but that's not how it's pronounced.
So, my full name is Oyenyechi. So the A part isn't in the shorter spelling. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Onye?
Onye.
Onye. Okay. Onye. Um, Sophie, how how were you inspired? Are you a tarot reader?
No, well, my mom actually is, but not professionally. And so she's always been a esoteric and occult lover. And so that was just sort of something that was always ingrained in me growing up. And I I remember actually the first time I ever got a reading, and I just everything about it was just so fascinating to me. The person who was reading, the cards, the experience just has really stuck with me. And I haven't actually gotten a reading in a little bit, but for me, I'm not a reader, but I am an appreciator of the art form and I love decks. I could stare at pictures of decks for an entire day, and I have because I think they are stunning.
Okay. So, can you tell us what inspired you to create this gorgeous deck? And while you're speaking, I'm going to hold up some of the cards so people can look, right?
So, what inspired me is, of course, Anya. And so I wanted to, this actually originated as a birthday gift for her. And I wanted to create something that she could have for the rest of her life and hold close to her heart and know that it was just hers because it was made for her, it was inspired by her. And so in the process, I did a lot of research. The first probably 4 months of creating this deck were just research. And I drew upon things we've talked about, things we're interested in, books we've read, spiritualities from all over, and especially the Zodiac because we're both astrology lovers. And I wanted to do an entire black feminine deck because she's a black woman, and I wanted that to be represented. And yeah, so I gave this to her as a birthday gift, and then it just sort of snowballed into selling it because I thought that honest, and we both thought that the world could use a little bit of her healing energy and her love and just the beauty of the deck. So that is where it came from.
So, Onye, tell me how you felt about receiving such a gift for your birthday.
So I was definitely surprised because I don't know if we really talked about tarot that much before. Yeah. So she also gave me a tarot book as well because she knows to help me do more research and get more accustomed to tarot because I'd mainly been focused on astrology. And so when I got this, it was very surprising. But she's always pushing me to learn new ways of expressing myself and self discovery. And so that was the first thing I thought of was, wow, I have a lot to learn. But as this gift was presented to me, I couldn't obviously just let it sit idly because I have to use it and I have to learn more about tarot. And yeah, overall, I would say I was overwhelmed. It was a very touchful gift, and I think I almost cried. I
Huh?
probably, yeah.
Do either of you read with this deck now?
I I would say every other day,
Uh-huh. Do you pull a card or you pull a couple of cards?
just one.
Just one. I mean, look at that card. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Yeah, guys. And the backs, well, everyone knows that I'm a feline lover. This is what the back of the cards look like. Look at that. Tower. So the tower is known as my favorite card.
Hmm.
A lot of people would not
That's very interesting.
that.
What to say?
I look for the tower, right? So, would you say that this deck is rider weight based? You know that system is not rider weight based
No,
in
not
that sense.
no. I sort of wanted to move a little bit away from that and kind of draw inspiration more on some modern decks. And I read this really great book called The Creative Tarot about the application of tarot for creatives and guiding writers, artists, small businesses, all those sorts of things. And it was really interesting. And I sort of drew a little bit off of that and what that book taught me about each suit and all of the major arcana. So no, I did not study the Rider Waite, honestly.
I feel like this is a highly intuitive deck. Do you feel that this will be a deck that's good for someone who maybe I wouldn't say that this is a person. This is a deck for a person who's a beginner.
I would agree with that.
Okay. It
I
would
think
help if you. It would help if you had a little bit of tarot knowledge behind you to use this deck.
I think so as well. I think that I have had one buyer who is an entirely a beginner, but she sort of similar actually what Anya just said is that she saw it and it inspired her to want to learn, which I was just so humbled by. I thought that was beautiful. But I would agree with you that I think that there is a bit of intuitiveness to the deck and that you might have to have a little bit of knowledge or be willing to learn and take on some.
Right. Right. So I'm gonna. So we talked about this, and I'm gonna mention it again before I hit record. You were not what I. You were not what I was expecting to see when I looked at the imagery, the images of this deck.
Mhm.
And you know that representation within the tarot community is scarce for us. And I want to commend you for doing such a beautiful job in creating a deck that pays honor and respect to Onye. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it right.
Yeah.
Is it Onye?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know why. I don't know why my mind wants to think of something else. Okay. So this is Onye's tarot. This is Onye's deck. Okay. And I mean, I'm looking at everything here. Who is this? Is this you, Onye? Who is this?
So
This is actually just someone from my brain.
Someone from your brain?
Yeah. I was just thinking of my brain was conjuring up just all sorts of beautiful women and she was one of them and I couldn't get her out of my head and so I had to put her in the deck somehow.
Okay. Okay. Um, how about this one?
Again, that's from a lot of these women are also from my brain. Um,
Gotcha.
there are definitely some that have maybe parts of Anya and maybe even some just the feeling of her if that makes sense. But yeah, I wanted to have a lot of different women within the deck.
I mean, what I love is the representation. It's the beauty of how you were able to catch our essence. Okay, this is not a deck that I feel left out of or misunderstood. Oh, you have the Sankofa bird here. You
Yeah,
know, are you right?
yeah, I did a lot of studying of Adinkra symbols.
Mm-hmm. Right, the Adinkra. I know that's like a big thing for me. Um, Let me ask you something, Sophie. Do you have art prints as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right, because I am huge on getting art prints.
Yeah, I do. I have art prints and I'm selling some of the originals of the Anya deck that just the
Okay,
what I painted to take the pictures to make the cards.
yeah. So, how does your artwork come about? Is it sketched? Because this looks like watercolor, pastels, oils.
So the process is the sketch and then erase about half of it and then pen and then watercolor. So it's a mix of ink and watercolor, this deck is. And most of my art is watercolor. It's my preferred medium.
I see. So, Anya, besides being an inspiration, have you also contributed to the creation of this deck?
I would not say I have. This is entirely Sophie.
Wait, Anya, the little book. Oh, well, I guess that's not released yet.
Oh,
Okay.
there's going to be a book? I was
Um,
going to ask about that because it does not come with a guidebook, people. Like if you're getting this, it doesn't come with a guidebook. So the little book, will it explain some of the imagery that we see on the cards?
I wanted to put Anya's hands, like I wanted her to have a actual like her handwriting. Honestly, I wanted that incorporated. So Anya, if you want to
Oh,
you can. So yes, guidebook to answer your question.
oh, okay. And you said that the deck is coming, you're reprinting it with gilding now?
So the edges will be, I believe, holographic, but not the images themselves. They will be The same. And I think that is coming next week, but it is a very busy time, so I don't want to hassle the shipping people.
Right, right. Okay, so for you tarot aficionados, this deck cardstock is dreamy. Rose petal, it's soft. Okay, so the cards, they're large, but not super large. They're soft and supple, and they feel like pieces of suede and velvet in my hands, energetically. So we know what this card is. And I'm going to ask you, this seems to be the one card that a lot of people have some difficulty with, the Three of Swords, right? Because the depiction tends to always be the same. But you have used a human heart here.
Sure.
Um, is there an explanation for this?
Actually, yes.
That's something. If this is something in your mind, like,
Yes.
should I
So
be concerned?
no, no. It's something that came to me actually. I was just reading a book about tarot, trying to get an idea of what each card would, just the imagery I wanted on each card. And that came to me. And I looked at some others and I saw that there were swords piercing a heart, but I wanted to add a little more to it. And then there was something in the meaning that drew me to the idea of roots and the meaning
Yes.
coming from them. And then all of it sort of converging on one card. And so that's how it came to be.
Oh my gosh. I mean, wow. I am just. I have my webcam set up to do a walkthrough, and maybe I'll do another walkthrough of this. I am just in awe. So this is the Five of Swords. Can you give me an explanation of this? Why does this look like this?
Truly, I it just came to me. I mean, there's some of them that just came from my weird and kind of whimsical way of looking at things. And honestly, when I look at that, I think of my love of Alice in Wonderland, because that's sort of the vibe it gives me. So I could not give you an explanation.
Well, the Five of Swords, the Swords is all about the mind and the expression of the mind. And this is, sometimes the blanket statement for the Five of Swords is empty victory, winner take all. But it's not without mental anguish. It's not without really putting all that energy into your mental faculties to get what you want, to the point where you just become so focused on getting what you want to the point where you disregard everything that's going on. You're so focused with everything. You're just surrounded by all your thoughts there that you're forgetting and disregarding the new growth that could be coming in, right? That's how I see that, right? Um, the Six of Swords. Ooh, maybe I should put on my glasses because I'm blind. There's a bat here, but okay. Hmm. Six of Swords.
Oh, I love the Six of Swords. That's actually that's a piece of me. I love owls. I always kind of think I look like an owl. And Anya said that once. And I remember reading about the Six of Swords, and I could just picture just this huge owl holding a sword in the background. And there's a few of the cards that I didn't want to have all six of the swords or all seven of the pentacles, and this is one of them. I wanted it to really be about sort of the strangeness of the image, if that translates.
The Six of Swords. If I can get an art print, I would get one of this, um, because I would gift it to someone. I know someone who I would give this to. So the Six of Swords uh, is about moving forward, and I like how you took the sword all the way down into the number six, right? Um, Six is about that harmony and that balance that needs to be attained, but it's almost like you drove the sword into the ground to keep it stable. This is my perspective. And from everything you've gone through in the Five of Swords. Now you get to the Six of Swords place where you have wisdom. You can move forward now, right? That's what the owls are for me. They're about wisdom. So the Seven of Swords,
Oh, I love that girl.
man, oh man, oh man.
I love this. Is actually, I truthfully, I went on Pinterest and I made this board of just inspiration, and this was one of those inspirations. And I remember reading about the Seven of Swords and just the mind aspect, like you say about the sword suit. And the seven just really, out of, I think, all the swords, it was the most mind, like, just craziness and sort of everything happening at once for me.
Yes.
I wanted this card to really reflect that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, this is a different Eight of Swords in comparison, because usually in most Eight of Swords, there seems to be a bit of strife, and yet I'm feeling that this person is actually quite relaxed. I'm looking at the pose, they're sitting on the ground, you know, it's they're not bound either. They have on the blindfold. So again, I think it comes down to that choice that they can make. And something about that pink for me, pink relates to the healing in the heart chakra, right? So this is turning off the mind garbage that's going on and possibly tuning in to your inner self and trusting what your heart is saying there. And, I'm looking in the background and I see three swords that look like they're wobbly or they could be melting. That mirage effect,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing there. She just looks so cool and relaxed and just centered that, yeah. Even now, this one, the Nine of Swords here.
Oh, that's my. I love her so much.
This is crazy.
It is.
I mean, hello. Okay. Should I be worried? Like, okay. Wow. That's a cool Nine of Swords. And then I like this. Tell me.
Oh, I love her too.
Okay.
So um,
So
yeah,
she's standing up.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's got all the swords embedded in her, which I think in at least in what I saw is pretty common for the Ten of
Mm-hmm.
Swords.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a head wrapping and I wanted her skin tone to be bluish, sort of as if like something was leaving her. Um,
Right.
and so that's really where this came from. And I wanted the purples and the blues sort of just be indistinguishable.
I like the idea of, because there's only one other deck that I have, and it's the Londa Tarot in the Ten of Swords, where the person is standing up,
Mm.
you know. So I know there are a lot of deck collectors who don't like the amount of swords piercing a person's back, um, but in the background you have the sun rising, like in the Rider-Waite Smith, and in this one it's all, like you said, blue and purple. So it's like you said, it's that indication of releasing something. Of course, we said the swords are about communication as well. Okay. And with this blue, it's like you're releasing, you're saying your piece and you're finally releasing it and moving forward. you know for me, head wrapping, it's protective, like protected of your energy and such as well. You put yourself in that place where you're protected. And this tells me that sometimes you have to step into the fray, knowing that you're divinely guided and protected, and you still move forward, right? But when you come out of it, you're leaving some things behind, and healing comes in, tranquility comes in after the Ten of Swords, after this. So I like that. Now, please explain to me.
So actually, so like I mentioned before, I studied a lot of the Adinkra symbols, and so that is sort of my version of one of them. I sort of took it a different way because I just think that women's breasts are just so beautiful. And I wanted this deck to also appreciate that and appreciate all shapes and sizes of breasts. And so that is honestly the only explanation I can give.
Okay. All right. All right. And now we have this knight. See,
Mhm.
the sword is very interesting. This is a very interesting suit.
I really like the swords that are curved, and I like the sort of options they offer, and the fact that they're not like all the other swords, and they sort of leave you thinking of sort of what caused the disruption and how can I sort of get to the root of it. That's sort of what those swords mean for me.
Right. Um, the Queen of Swords. So I think this reminds me of something.
Oh, I love her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really love, this isn't really necessarily about the meaning, but I love pink hair. And so I wanted someone to have pink hair. And then I sort of wanted her to be coming out of the swords. But some people have said they interpret her as trapped in the swords, which I find interesting.
Mm.
And then Anya thought it was inspired by a TV show we once watched.
Yes,
So
that's
I,
what I was going to say.
yeah. So I think that, and I love that. I love that this deck is so open to interpretation. Everyone sort of gets their own meaning from each image and each card. I think that's what's really special about tarot.
Yeah, the Queen of Swords, highly intellectual, highly evolved, right?
Mhm.
Surrounded by the swords, and yes, she could be if things go totally left, she can be caught up in her thoughts and such. Like she's not able to relate to the pink side of her, that compassion, you know. But she's learning it. Maybe she's pulling it in. That's what's causing her to have pink hair, or she's released it. She's forgotten that because sometimes the Queen of Swords can be just, black and white. That's all she sees, And this I know is an Adinkra from an Adinkra symbol.
It is. So I took that symbol and I made it. Um, Anya and I love the yin yang and we love duality and because she's very balanced and I'm very chaos. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to take that symbol and make it yin yang crocodiles and but with the continue the pink and purple theme of what I those colors are what I assigned to the sword to represent air and that's where that came from.
So why did you assign pink and purple to the sword suit?
Because well I really love the elements and I love that each suit represents one of those elements and that three zodiac signs and so obviously the conventional thing is blue is water, red and orangey would be fire and then green is earth and I didn't want to repeat like a gray or anything. I wanted the swords to still be vibrant and to still sort of reflect like a just a vibrancy truly and I wanted them to draw you in and also reflect just sort of the depth of how much is going on in the sword suit. It's I think it's my favorite. So that is where the pink and purple came from is because I wanted them to have distinct colors and to be unique.
Okay. I am not usually a fan of the cups suit, but I'm loving this, right? Um, and I'm going to skip some of the images. But what is that symbol on the cup?
That is an Adinkra symbol. I would have to pull out my book because, wow, it has been a while since I've read all my research. But it's, oh no, I think that it's one of there's one that I use throughout for water, but it's not that one. It's a different one that relates to the specific meaning of ace.
Mm,
I'd have to look at my book.
okay. So what I'm going to do, I think when I do an overview walkthrough another time, I'm going to pull out my Adinkra decks and such and compile the two together. That's what I'm loving about this, and compile the two and get the additional messages because moving into 2021, that's what I want to do. I want to focus on playing card readings and working with Undinkra. symbols on Adinkra decks, right? So, Onyi, you have nothing to say? Tell me about this one. How do you, Onyi, tell me, how do you feel about this?
It's hard to. I can just see.
This looks like a Yoruba woman or an Igbo woman.
Yeah, it's well. The whole cup suit relates to water, I'd say, and that's something that's an element that I have. I don't want to say struggled with, but since it relates to emotions and sort of that aspect, that's definitely something that I've struggled with expressing emotions and letting myself feel things. And
I
so,
get it. What's your
yeah,
what's
I'm
your
sorry.
what's your date of birth?
September 12th, 2000.
Virgo.
Yes.
And what's your date of birth, Sophie?
August 6, 2000.
You're a Leo.
I am Leo.
Oh my gosh, Leo and Virgo. I'm a Leo.
You're a Leo too? That's so exciting.
Yes, I'm a Leo. Yeah. Okay. And Virgos. Okay, Virgos. I understand about that. The sometimes the difficulty in connecting with the emotions because Virgo energy is very pragmatic and 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? Wrapping your head around the fact that it might equal 5, like mess with your brain. But um, when we are challenged by a suit, that's usually something that we're called to focus on so that we can grow. And believe me, I know about me and the cups suit. Like you, trying to make that connection. I'm not overly emotional, but as a reader, I have to tap into my inner Queen of Cups so that I can be compassionate to people who come to me. And I learned that by doing something with her name is Angela. She has a book called The Queen Up, and she uses the 4 queens of the deck to help you tap into different parts of your personality. And you take this test, and you can find out at when I first did it, my Queen of Cups was my prevalent queen. She was the most prominent queen, and that was because I was doing readings. Even though the Queen of Cups is an energy, it was like, really? That's so overly emotional. I don't want to be engaged with that. I'm Queen of Wands or Queen of Swords. And even though I'm a fire sign, the Queen of Wands was the queen that was most neglected at that time. Right. So I had to learn to work in that balance. Yeah. So it was really interesting to do that. So this one, I love this for the 6 of Cups. This is very ancestral for
Yes.
me.
I love that one too. That's actually there's this artist I really admire whose name is escaping me, and she made a collage like that, and I saw it and I was like, I have to paint my own version of this with my own style, and I really liked just the imagery of it and sort of how I can't even speak to it. It just resonated with me so deeply, and it just really seemed to mean something that I still haven't been able to put my finger on.
And this card,
I love that girl. I think she's so beautiful. I don't even know what to say about it. I just that was another thing that is very much based off of what I read about the 7 of Cups and what the card is meant to portray imagery wise.
8 of Cups.
Anya really likes that one, don't you? I feel like that's one. Anya likes the cups, I think, a lot in terms of her suit. I think my suit that I like the most is swords. But
Is that a person's face?
yes, she's the mountain. She's a part of the mountain, and I wanted the cups to be the rivers and everything to just sort of be very abstract for this card. Yeah, she's in the mountain.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I love that. Now, the 9 of Cups.
one too. I love the cups. It's really becoming clear to me as we read. And that's the one where you can see the teeny little water symbol on each cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted the smaller cups. When the in this suit, the bigger cups have a lot of different symbols, but all the smaller ones normally have the same one.
Same.
Like that continuity.
Okay. Um, 10.
I love that one too. I love the cups. So I read something about rainbows being
Hmm.
portrayed in the 10, and I wanted it to sort of be coming from cup to cup, and I wanted there to be a lot of them, and I wanted there to be 10 of them. And I really liked the meaning behind this one, and like just the rainbow aspect, but I wanted to keep it with the theme of blues for this suit.
Okay. Now we have, now this is a nod to the RWS, because the Page of Cups has a cup with a fish coming out of it.
It is. This one actually, even though she does not look like Anya, this one really reminds me of her. First of all, because I know she really likes it, and also just because I feel like, in my mind, the the fish is whispering to the girl and telling her and encouraging her to express herself and to embrace all aspects of herself, and um, that's why this card really reminds me of her.
Yeah. And I love this Knight of Cups.
Me too. I love her too. That's another one I actually sketched in the margin of a book because the idea came to me while I was reading just a book that had nothing to do with tarot, and it just came to me all of a sudden. I was like, oh, she has to have a visible brain. And I really liked the way that the pink contrasted with the blue because when I don't use a color that is, that element's color for each suit, it's very deliberate. And this pink brain was very deliberate for me. I wanted it to really stand out and make you think.
Okay, this is a familiar image here for the Queen.
Yes. And I love rainbow snakes. I really do. And that's based off of a spirit I read about. Oh gosh, my memory. Mama, it's 4 letters. It'll come to me soon. Um,
Yeah.
and her holding the snakes, and that's where that image came from. And I wanted to make it my own to honor her spirit and this queen because reading about her, I was like, she's the Queen of Cups. That's what it's got to be.
This is a very protective energy in ATR, African traditional religion, a very protective energy. She does not suffer fools, and she's really, really, really protective of women who have been, and children who have been abused, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to say her name. I'm going to leave it. And then we have the king.
I love the king. I honestly, now I'm thinking back, I think that's another one that the image just in reading about the King of Cups, it just sort of formed in my brain and I just put it on paper and started painting. I have to, yeah, I think it was just one of those things that I just knew instinctively.
Okay, so now we're on to the wands suit, which we start usually. So the wands are usually orange or red,
Mhm.
and in, I don't even know, is it Wiccan, Celtic, whatever, Golden Dawn, usually yellow is associated with air.
Really? I hadn't
Yeah,
read that. That's very
yeah,
interesting.
yellow's associated with air. But I like the sun aspect of,
That's what I was thinking about too.
right. Okay, I like that because when you hear fire, I think of the glow of a fire. It's yellow, red, orange. Being a Leo, we're all about the yellow. So I get it. I like it. I like it. I really, really like this. Um, what is this? The world is supported by our choices.
Hmm. Yeah, these all are very, I think the wands is very reflective of the sort of more traditional meanings that I read about and for each card. Oh, I love her. I love that. That's the moon, which I kind of struggled with making that choice. Because exactly what you just said, the sun, and but I really wanted her to be framed against the moon and holding her one wand. And yeah, I really love that card. And also including the purple was a little difficult for me too, but I felt it was necessary to give a night feel to emphasize that that was not the sun.
Okay. She's standing on the edge of a precipice, waiting.
Yeah, that's what it is to me. She's standing on the edge, and I like that her head is tilted up because it's sort of like she's asking the universe or listening for something.
Yeah,
We aren't privy to it.
waiting for that right moment. And then we have here the Four of Wands. That's another Adinkra symbol. As a matter of fact, I have earrings made out of that, made
Mhm.
with that symbol. So yeah, I'm going to do another walkthrough and pull the symbology together and give it a little bit more. Okay, five.
Oh yeah, that's another one that I got that
Yeah.
was inspired by the traditional, and then the witchy. Anya and I like to talk about witches, and that was a more witchy. Mama, it starts with a W.
Wado.
Wait, thank you. I got the W. Gosh, my brain is so.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Anyway, witches, yes. Yes, that was a very witchy card.
Okay. And this Six of Wands.
That is the that's the falcon one, and that's another one that was more traditional. This suit is very traditional in my opinion. Um, but and I wanted the crown, and that was very important to me. Just emphasize that royalty and that sense of not, I don't want to say entitlement, but sort of. Hmm, I mean, I guess I would just go with royalty, and it's clawing all those wands, and I really like the background of this one as well.
Yeah. Okay. Seven.
That's another Adinkra symbol, and I kind of struggled with this one personally because the colors were really hard for me to nail down. I actually did this card two or three times, just started over and kept scrapping it, and I eventually landed on because I didn't know how to incorporate the wands, but then I realized I wanted them all to be reaching out and
Mm,
take up space, so that they were still very much playing a part. It was difficult though. I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah. The five-pointed star, because the fives, they say, is about disruption, right? And sometimes that disruption, like you said, creates that outer expression of the Seven of Wands, right? So they, usually the Seven of Wands is about being protective. This could be contained disruption,
Mhm.
right? We know that a forest fire has to take place in order for the forest to continue to flourish. But we also know this year when it's not contained, California was burning, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Um, Eight of Wands.
So this was actually this was a I don't even know how to get into this. I painted a painting very similar. This is entirely based off a painting I did earlier. Um, and I read about the wands coming down from the sky, and that's a more traditional image for this card.
Yeah.
But the girl in the field is, I mean, that's basically a painting I did. And I wanted her to have hair. I've been thinking a lot about body hair recently, and I was back then as well. And I wanted her to have a lot of hair.
Okay.
I like her a lot. See, and I don't know what you, I'd like to hear what you think about this as well, but I liked the facing away aspect of this because every time that I had a woman not facing forward in this deck, it was very deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those cards where you see that and you sort of think, huh. And that's kind of what my intention was for this to be a little bit puzzling and a little bit thought provoking.
Well, the Nine of Wands can sometimes indicate being very defensive, and the back is turned towards us, the viewer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this could be so defensive, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like you've been through a lot, especially coming out of the Eight of Wands, where you have a lot of busyness and activity. We're looking at her stance as well. I feel like I can't see. Hands over her eyes.
Yeah.
So much stuff going on, a lot of activity. Like, Calgon, take me away, please. Right? I just want to lay in a field of flowers. And then you get here, and we're at this protective mode. I'm just too busy protecting everything that I've done so far. Like, I don't have time. I don't have time to deal with anything else. I'm looking at overseeing everything else that I have created. And that's what I'm feeling from this. You turn your back on other things that's going on, right? Now we get to the 10.
Oh, I love her. You'll see this actually a lot. I like chains, but I don't like binding. I don't love bound women personally. And that is to like in within the tarot, I know that can be a recurring theme, but I really like accented women. And I know that's not the meaning of the card, but I just when I think of her, I think of just beauty and just like the accents of everything about her and all of it being brought to your eye.
Well, you have the yellow and pink. Her back, again, it looks like she's walking away. If you really, to me, it looks like she's walking away, and yet glancing over her shoulder.
Right.
When I first saw this card, it's very Oshun. Are you familiar with the Yoruba deity Oshun?
Mhm.
Right? When you see pictures or images of Oshun, she's all gold and yellow, right? And she tends to have uh, a veil, so to speak, over her face. And she actually has that look. And then there's an aspect of Oshun that is actually pink as well. So for this to be the Ten of Wands, Oshun reminds us that in spite of all the hardships that you have to endure, that there's still sweetness in life to be enjoyed. And that's what I'm seeing with this Ten of Wands, right? That just one more push, like don't give up just yet, right? I'm here with you. It might seem like a struggle, but I'm here with you, right? And she's looking back to make sure, like, are you still keeping up? Are you keeping up? I'm here. You see that? That's what I see from this, you know. That's what I see. That's why I said I feel like this is a very intuitive deck for that person who wants to dive in, wants something a little bit differently. Because wow, there is no guidebook. There is no supposed structure. Like you can use anything to mean the incorporate all the colors, the stances. Um, I'm gonna test out this. I have a couple of readings this weekend. I want to test this deck in my readings, just like this. No guidebook or anything like that. Like this Page of Wands. This is okay. So this is insane. You know this, right? Like,
Yes. And I really was, the passion of the Page of Wands was really what spoke to me in creating this image. I mean, I wanted it to just be sort of overwhelming and just like you look all over the place. And I mean, this one took a long time. The little chains on her accent, like her body chain took a while and her hair took a very long time.
uh-huh.
But I wanted it to be very detailed and very just passionate and colorful.
Yeah. Okay. And ah, it's very rare when I like a Knight of Wands, but this one, oh my gosh, this one is like everything.
I love her too. Yeah, well, the Knight of Wands, I remember something about it is very fleeting, and I sort of I took this one a different way, and again, this use of color was very deliberate. The blue of her hair is
Mm-hmm.
sort of blue of a very, very hot fire, which is often fleeting. Normally, fire, it takes a lot to get it that hot.
Right.
Um, and so, and it is the suit of fire. So that is kind of where that came from. And I wanted her to be very powerful and very sturdy almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Queen of
Yeah.
Wands.
She's actually based on a portrait of a African warrior queen that I came across in my research. And I was very struck by just the like raw regalness of her and her face and her stance. And in the image, she's holding a weapon that I think it maybe was it wasn't a gun. It was some sort of weapon, and it might have been a gun. And so I just switched that out with the wand and and I wanted her dressing to be very regal as well.
And then this is my solo card, the King of Wands. That's just beautiful, you know. And you did not put a cat with the Queen of Wands, right? You know, sometimes the cat, they said the cat represents your intuition, but this, and the name slips me, but this you said is a great warrior queen, and she was highly intuitive. She trusted her inner knowing, and she trusted her skills and her abilities that she had honed through the years to get to this place. So that's perfect, right? And then you have the King of Wands here, just being the master of that element, combined here with that yellow,
Mm-hmm.
connected to that particular chakra, and the orange here, like all the lower chakras are brought in to create this energy of the King of Wands being passionate. They're bringing everything to the forefront. Um, they've got nothing to lose. They've given everything. They're putting everything in, and that's what the feeling that I'm getting. They're just so relaxed and content with who they are that they can allow the blouse to fall off their shoulder, and not feel like they're going to be judged. They can take that stance. They are fully submerged into their passion and such. So your deck is very feminine. I noticed that too,
I love,
right?
yeah.
Um, some people, and yet I feel it's very balanced, okay? Because I don't feel like it's feminine in the sense that it's passive or soft. I'm not feeling that. I feel that it's just as assertive, just as strong. I don't feel like it's gender based. Okay, it's even though it reflects predominantly women,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it's just a female only deck or just women only deck or such like that. I do feel like it can be used by read with for men, you know what I mean, and for them to get the information that they need and such and recognize that. I also feel like this will be a good deck to read for people who are dealing with um transformative issues, not really sure about where they're going, what their stance is in life, what is it, their next move, they're not really sure. I also feel, ironically enough, I don't know, I'm going to test this. I feel like this would be good for relationships.
I can
I
see
don't
that.
I
I mean,
No,
you could trust your intuition. So,
I'm feeling, like when you want to know the truth of the matter without, the cotton candy and the hearts and the roses. I feel like this would be good for relationships, those deep, intimate, we've been together for a long time, but something has gone off the rails sort of relationship, right? To bring that balance back in. Because it has just enough, I feel like, fiery energy. Even though it represents all of the elements, I feel like a lot of fiery energy and yet water energy as well, like a lot of receptive and receiving sort of energy, that push pull. Like I'm feeling a balance. I don't know, someone else might think no, but I'm going beyond just the images, and I think it could be a combination of the colors that you use, the Adinkra symbols, um, the portrayal, the portraits, because it doesn't matter if it's male or female. You know what I mean? It's this is someone, the Knight of Cups. This is about putting your feelings first, right? That's what that is. So, gosh, okay. How long have we been on? Doesn't matter. Okay, so your deck is available on Etsy. And you said you're coming out with a reprint with holographic gilded edging. And Onye, this is you. I mean, you're going down in history. Like, look at that. This is your deck. You inspired a beautiful piece of artwork just by being who you are. You didn't do anything special except be your true self. And Sophie recognized that. She recognized your inner beauty and was able to bring this to us like that, and maybe that's why I feel when I talk about authenticity, this is what I feel about that. Like there's no bells and whistles, no pretense, none of that. It's just two friends who recognize each other. Anya, what do you do? Sophie, you're an artist. Anya, are you an artist as well?
I am not.
No, what do you do? Are you studying what, engineering, science?
Yeah,
You know.
that was really weird. Yeah, I'm in STEM. It's towards technology, but yeah.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that, right? That's that yin yang energy that needs to be at place, right? Nothing wrong with that. You provide the inspiration. You have both of you have gifted the tarot world with something special here, really. And did you send it to me in a bag?
Yes, it comes in a velvet bag.
Yeah, sure does. I have it right here, which is perfect because this is my color. Kind of purple, burgundy, all of those are my colors. Yeah. So, wow. I don't know if I have any more questions. Like I said, I'm going to do another walkthrough. And if I have any more questions, I'd like to have you guys back again. Um, Let me work with it for a few weeks, a couple of months and such like that, see how my readings go. And then maybe I can find somebody else who also work with the deck, and maybe the four of us or five of us can sit down and have discuss our experience in working with the deck, right? One of the things, I don't know if you watched what we did this past Sunday, is that a group of us want to get together and like talk about one deck and our various experiences in working with that one deck. So I'm going to propose this deck to my group, and we'll see what happens.
I'd love to hear about what you all think. I think that'd be awesome. And I'd love to hear about the reading experiences too.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that guidebook, Anya, that you're coming up with. When can I expect that?
So I've done the writing, and Sophie's gonna add her element to it and design it, and then I'm not sure of a time frame, but
Oh,
it's in the.
Oh, really soon. She just sent me the PDF with all her pretty handwriting, and I'm just gonna print it and just do some little doodles on it that reflect the tarot deck, and then I think it'll be available primarily digitally because we both are very environmentally conscious, but I want to offer a special order if someone is dying to have it in a little book form, then I will do that for them, but I just don't want to waste any paper.
so it would be available through your Etsy shop in a
Mm-hmm.
PDF?
Yes, via PDF.
Okay. I mean, I'm putting a request now.
Okay, well, I everyone who's already bought the deck will receive it free of charge, just to thank you guys for getting it,
Wow.
because it wasn't ready yet and I want everyone to have it. So yeah, you'll be getting one.
Oh wow, that's very very generous of you. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to reading the guidebook. You know, I'm one of those people, I like to read the book. I like to know what's in the artist's mind, the creator's mind. You know, the reason why you put this particular image, like you said, on the cups, this particular image on all the cups. Why did you know? So is your guidebook going to break down things like that?
Yes, there
Yeah.
will be a section breaking down my thoughts. The first section is Anya's thoughts and her, the meanings of the tarot, and then the next section will be my thoughts about
Okay.
just the behind the scenes artisty part.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you. So, to my viewers who have been watching, thank you so much. I'm going to stop this recording now. Leave your comments down below. Please be kind. And I will be back. Until then, stay blessed. So, I'm going to